Mike Radich here, and I'm now joined on the phone by MFC Heavyweight Anthony Hamilton. Anthony, how are you?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. Anthony, you got a fight coming up October 4th at MFC 38. How's training been going for the fight?
Man, it's been going great. Just putting the finishing touches on now, and we should be ready to go next week.
Mm-hmm. You started your camp at Jackson's down in New Mexico, but now you're back up in your home state of Washington. Why did you decide to end camp at home?
Well, we're only a few hours away from where the venue is going to be at in Edmonton, and so also I got 2 kids at home and a wife, so I wanted to spend some time with those guys before I headed up there to fight.
Mm-hmm. How long has this training camp been for you?
Let's see, I started, I train year-round, but I think if you want to call it a training camp, I ramped up my training about mid-July and have been going hard ever since.
Mm-hmm. Is this the longest training camp of your career?
No, I wouldn't say so. I've put in, 12 weeks before, and I would say that was probably one of my longer ones.
Mm-hmm. Let's start with the training that you're doing down at Jackson's. There's a long list of great guys that they have for you to work with, guys like Jon Jones, Travis Brown, Andrei Arlovsky. The list goes on and on of guys who are Frank Mir, guys who you can work with down at Jackson's. Just curious, what's it like going with those guys on a day-to-day basis?
Man, it's awesome, man. It's great, especially at any given time we got three former world champions in the room, and it's just amazing just to pick those guys' brains and to see what it's like to be at that level or just to see how they carry themselves each day. It's just an amazing experience, man.
Mm-hmm. Now, what's better? Obviously, they're both great, but what's better? Is it the coaching that you're getting, or is it the bodies that you get to work with when you're down there?
Wow, yeah. Working with Greg and Mike Winkeljohn is amazing. But, those guys got a lot of fighters. Mm-hmm. I think some of the best things that we have at Jackson's are the fighters themselves just helping each other. I think, people like Carlos Condit, mm-hmm. Cowboy Cerrone, all these great guys, man. Even when GSP was coming down there on a regular basis, so everybody helps each other out. And so you really have, nonstop coaching, even when Greg and Mike can't really, give you that one-on-one that you might need. I got people like Travis Brown or Frank Mir giving me pointers,
mm-hmm.
daily, all day long. And it's just, you can't really get that anywhere else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was going to be my next question. How do they divide the time up? Because, like you mentioned, there's a lot of great fighters in that gym. The coaches, how do they give, equal time to everybody? And when they don't have a chance to work with you, who are some of the guys that you go to get the coaching and get advice when they don't have time, when they're maybe traveling somewhere else or when they're working with somebody else? Could you explain how you still get the tips and the advice and all that stuff when those guys can't work with you?
Greg and Mike do a great job of balancing all these fighters. They always have themselves available to answer questions or whatnot. They stay busy because there's always somebody training for a fight, and they always got to leave town or whatnot. So that's when those other guys come in, and it's kind of a support system where, they give you that extra coaching or those pointers that you need. We have our practices set up into lightweight practice and heavyweight practice, but, guys are there all day long. So and we're a team, right? And we're a family. So anytime that you need something, you can go to any one of these superstars and they'll drop everything and help you out. Or, if you're training with one of these guys, they're going to say, hey, why don't you watch this or look for that or whatnot. So, man, it's amazing, man. Where one guy might, where Greg or Mike might be busy, somebody else will step up and fill that role.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Greg Jackson and Mike Winkeljohn are both in the gym together, but who have you kind of built a better relationship with? Mike Winkeljohn or Greg Jackson? Who's the guy that you've spent more time with since you've been training there?
When I first started going down there, I worked a lot with Keith Jardine. He's a great friend of mine.
Right.
It was somebody who I really looked up to, and I still do. So I always go to him for advice just on, how I should conduct myself in day-to-day operation. What things can I be doing to make myself better each day. But the guy that I work with the most these days is Travis Brown. This guy, he's amazing, man. He's going to be, fighting for a title here soon, I'm sure of it. And, so I talk to this guy periodically. I ask him for advice, and we train together for fights. And he'll be coming up with me to Canada, and he'll be in the corner for this next fight.
Mm-hmm. Now, Greg Jackson and Mike Winkeljohn, they do a great job of not only teaching the techniques, but getting into the mind of a fighter and directing them, the psychological aspect of mixed martial arts. They do a great job at that. Talk a little bit about that. How have they helped not only train your body for the fight, but also train your mind?
Man, it's just it's nonstop positive reinforcement. Mm-hmm. I think has been my experience. Every single day, everybody's training hard. You get beat up, you get wore down a little bit, but it's amazing how Coach Wink or Greg will come up to you either during the practice or after practice, and they'll be like, "Oh man, you look great today. You did a really good job with this, or maybe try this because I really think that you could do amazing things with this with this technique or whatever." And that just, man, hearing it from these guys, it just lifts you to a whole new level, man. And those are the type of things that they really practice a lot. Is just that positive reinforcement and and positive criticism, I guess is what you could call it. And it's amazing, man.
Mm-hmm. You started training at Jackson's in 2009. Just curious, why haven't you made your full-time home down in New Mexico? Why do you still just travel down there to get the training and then go back home to Washington? Why not just stay full-time in New Mexico?
I have a lot of friends and family in the Northwest area, and I have a wife and 2 kids now, and so we kicked around that idea for the longest time, and every once in a while we still revisit it. But I think for that reason, just the fact that we have a family and we have so much roots in the Northwest area, it's easier for me just to leave town for a month or 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever, and then come home than it is to just bring my whole family and transplant them down there. So that was kind of the reason why we've stayed in the Seattle area thus far.
Now, when you're up in Washington doing your training, who are some of the people that you're working with?
And I've worked with everybody in the Northwest area, man. I spent some time at AMC with Matt Hume. I've rolled with Josh Barnett when he was up there a few years back. Worked with Ivan Saliveri. He's got a great gym in downtown Seattle. Worked with Gracie Baja in downtown Seattle. A number of kickboxing and boxing coaches in the area. I have a lot of great training partners up there. Mike 300 Hayes, who's fought in Bellator, and Trevor Smith, who's actually an old college wrestling buddy of mine, and he fights in the UFC now, man. So I just really try to spread out and get a little piece of everything from all over the Northwest area.
For this fight, you said that Travis Brown is going to be cornering you. Who are some of the other guys that are going to be cornering you? Is it going to be guys from Jackson? Is it going to be guys from the Northwest? Or is it just going to be a mixture of both?
Yeah, it's going to be a mixture. I got another guy from the Northwest area who actually is a trainer, and he's also one of my managers. He'll be making a trip up there. His name is Will Hammond. Also, I have a Canadian fighter who's also one of my teammates down there at Jackson's. His name is Derek Boyle, and so he'll be up there with us as well.
Now to the fight on October 4th, you're going to be taking on Salimo Rama. What are your thoughts about him as an opponent?
Hey, he's a great fighter. He's a tough guy. He comes to fight. He comes to win every single time. I think it's going to be an awesome fight for the fans, and I'm looking forward to it, man. I think it's going to be a great test to see where I'm at, and but I definitely feel like there's some holes in his game, and I'm just on a different level right now. So I'm looking forward to bringing home a win.
Where do you feel that you have the advantage in the fight?
I'm a little bit bigger than he is, but that doesn't really mean too much. But I just feel stronger everywhere, man. I'm training with some of the best guys in the world. So he's not going to be able to do anything that I've already, haven't seen already. So I just feel really confident no matter where the fight goes, I'll be ready to go.
Now, I saw an article on the MFC website, and they had you quoted in saying that he was confused. He's confused on what reality is. What did you mean by that?
We actually were just kind of sparring a little bit on some Twitter and some Twitter nonsense. And, he was saying he was going to do this to me and that to me or whatever. And, I just was saying he was more or less confused that, it's not going to be that easy for him. And he's going to be in for a shock when he finally realizes that he's in a real fight.
Also in that article, you also mentioned that you have no nerves going into this fight. Why exactly aren't you nervous going into a pretty big fight, live TV for a world title? Why no nerves?
Honestly, man, I've been playing sports my whole life. At a pretty decently high level. All the media, all the spotlight, that type of thing. I've been there and done all of that. So I think that those things really help me prepare for this type of stage. I mean, I've already been here before, in a sense. So, it doesn't really, I don't think about it as much. I'm not really too concerned about it. Also, I'm just confident in my training. And at the end, I feel like I was born for this. This is my destiny. So I feel ready to go.
Just curious, how did this deal with the MFC all come together? And when you were going through the negotiation process, was a title shot promised to you to kind of get you to sign? Or when you signed with MFC, then did they come in and give you a title shot?
Yeah, I believe so. I think my manager was talking with those guys for a little bit, and they were kind of kicking around the idea. And I think a few weeks into the talks, they decided, that they wanted to pull the trigger on it. And we were thrilled, man. We were excited about it, and we started getting ready.
Salimo Rama was supposed to fight Chris Barnett at MFC 37 for the heavyweight title, but Chris Barnett got injured and couldn't fight on that date, so the fight ended up getting canceled, and Rama was pulled off the card. Mark Pavlich came back and announced that he was going to fight at MFC 38 for the belt. When that was all going around, did you think that you were on the radar of MFC? Obviously, you just said that your manager was talking with them, but did you think that you were in the running to fight for the belt?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, my management team was talking to these guys for a while. I felt confident that I had the tools to do well in their organization. And Mark Pavlich, these guys put on a great show. They have a great promotion up there, and I'm just excited to be a part of it, man.
Is this the first time you're going to be fighting for a belt?
No, I've won 2 belts before, so hopefully come October 4th we'll be adding to that collection.
And how many times have you fought in a ring? Because this fight, the MFC, all their fights take place in a ring.
I haven't fought in a ring yet, but we train in the ring pretty frequently down at Jackson's. We got a lot of guys that fight kickboxing, boxing, and a few guys that have fought MMA inside of a ring. So we have both a cage and a ring, and we train in it every day. So it won't be any different.
Going into this fight, you said that you're not nervous, but if you're not nervous, then what are you feeling going into this fight if it's not nerves?
Shoot, man. A long time ago, when John Jones was first fighting for the light heavyweight championship, I was hanging out with him, and he told me, I was like, man, he was like, yeah, we're about 2.5 weeks out. And I was like, well, man, you got to get to sleep early tonight. You got to do this, you got to do that. And he was like, hey, man, you know what? If I look at it like that, then I make it more than it really is. But really, it's just another fight. And truly, that's how I'm approaching this one, man, because there's really nothing different about this fight. It's just another fight. The stage is different, the venue's different, whatnot. But at the end of the day, me and Rama, we're going to go in there, we're going to meet in the middle, we're going to throw down. That's not going to be any different than my past, 15, 16 fights. So, I'm not really too worried about it. I'm anxious to get in there and showcase my skills, but outside of that, it's just another day.
How do you defeat Salimo Rama on October 4th?
It's not going all 5 rounds, so it's going to be by stoppage.
Anthony, real quick before I let you go, do you have any sponsors you'd like to thank, and is there anything you'd like to say to the fans?
Sure. I'd like to thank Severity Clothing Line. I'd like to thank Kimura Fightwear. I'd like to thank Will Hammond, White Buffalo Management Team, Jackson's MMA, Ivan Salavari MMA. I'd like to thank my friends and family. Most of all, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I just want to say to all the fans out there, man, be sure to tune in because you're in for a good show and a great fight.
Anthony, thank you for taking the time to talk. I really appreciate it. Good luck at MFC 38 on October 4th against Salimo Rama.
All right, thank you, sir.